Welcome back to MutiGeek. Last week's episode, where I went through variations for the left hand of what one can play on the piano in Bossa Nova and Samba, was a big hit. I got a lot of positive comments from you. Thank you. This week I thought I would do a sequel and do the same thing for the right hand. Various patterns from simple to more complex, and then you'll have the whole package to put together left and right hand together. All of our patterns today will be 2-bar patterns, 2 bars of 4/4. Our first pattern, as you will see later, brings up a very important concept in both Afro-Brazilian and Afro-Cuban music. This first pattern consists of only 2 notes or 2 chords in the right hand, both of them long. One on beat 2 of the first bar, and the second one on the and of 4, anticipating the second bar. Now, this seems very simple, but it's the basis of everything we're going to do. If this coordination of the hands is new to you, practice this at slow tempos, practice with a metronome or with recordings, practice playing through whole songs and chord progressions until this is easy. Now, our second pattern. In that first one, we had a note on the beat and a note off the beat, on beat 2 and on the and of 4. This next pattern adds 2 more notes, one preceding each of the 2 we just played. And these are in pairs, so the chord on the beat is preceded by another chord on the beat. The chord on and is preceded by another chord on the and. Again, if the coordination is new, practice this in all sorts of different ways until it's easy to do. Now, another thing may have become apparent with our pairs of notes, where we had 2 notes on the beat and 2 notes off the beat, and that is our articulation between the 2 pairs is the same: short, long, short, long. For our third pattern, we're going to add another pair of notes, and those, like these 2, are short-long. Our first pair of notes were on the beat, our second pair of notes were off the beat, our third pair is also off the beat: short-long, short-long, short-long. Now we're going to have a little variation. Our first pattern was simple. Our second pattern added 2 more notes. Our third pattern added 2 more notes. Now we're just going to do a variation on the last bar. So we're going to play the first bar the same. Let's review pattern 2. So in the first bar we have those 4 notes. We're going to keep those. But the second bar is different. Here's pattern 3. Now, as far as articulation goes, the previous one was short, long, short, long, short, long. In the new notes we added in bar 2, we have an 8th note rest, a dotted quarter, and 2 quarters on beats 3 and 4. Those can either be played short, short, or short, long. Short, short. Short, short. In this pattern, I've heard the articulation played both ways. I wouldn't say interchangeably, but they're both very common. Now remember I said in the beginning on our first pattern where we had a chord on the beat and a chord off the beat. that this brought up an important concept that both Afro-Brazilian and Afro-Cuban music have in common. And that is, in two-bar patterns, there is generally a straight bar and a syncopated bar. In this case, we have the straight bar and then the syncopated bar. Generally in the straight bar, there is a note on beat 1 or on beat 2 or both that defines it as the straight bar. In the syncopated bar, generally in both kinds of music, there is an eighth note anticipation going into the syncopated bar. Push. Push. In all cases, we land on the beat in the straight bar, and we have an eighth note push into the syncopated bar. Now, all of what we've done with the straight note first is used universally in Bossa Nova, and in fact, virtually all Bossa Nova has the straight bar first. There may be exceptions, but the vast majority of Bossa Novas you'll run into have the straight bar first. That is not the case with Samba. Samba has both variations. Now let me explain that very briefly without going into a whole ethnomusicology dissertation. In both Afro-Brazilian and Afro-Cuban, the music can be played straight bar, syncopated bar, or syncopated bar, straight bar. Let me show you how that works with the last pattern we used. So, to refresh, the last one was right? So what's in the second bar? The second bar begins with an eighth rest, a dotted quarter, and the two quarters. 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, so that's going to become our first bar if we play the variation where the syncopated bar is first. So the two bars just turn around. Some people say it's backwards. It's not really entirely backwards in that it's not retrograde. The bars are just swapped in order. So here's that same pattern with the syncopated bar first. Now both of these variations, straight syncopated, syncopated straight, are common in Samba. You hear them both all the time. So now the big question, how do you know which pattern to use? The straight syncopated or the syncopated straight? Usually the song will tell you. Look at the melody, see where the notes fall, see where they're on the beat, see where they're pushed. You can usually see which pattern fits naturally into it. Also, if you're playing in a band and your drummer or percussionist knows this music, knows the patterns, see what they're doing, go with them. In any case, try to make it feel natural. These patterns for Samba can go up to really as fast as you can play them. You can play them nice and easy for Bossa Nova. But for Samba, they can work at all tempos. Now you have a basic toolkit for both hands in Bossa Nova and Samba of several patterns you can put together, you can mix and match. Practice them in different combinations at different tempos. Listen to records, I'm sure you'll hear these patterns and hear how they fit into the overall groove. Have fun.